Hi, good morning. Thank you for joining me once again on Maximizing Your Impact with Dr. Maxwell. But today I'm excited to come your way with another message, inspiration, revelation, teaching that would help you and push you to where you're supposed to be. My goal is to help you become all that you are capable of becoming and to maximize your life. So thank you for joining me. Tell your family, tell your friends that we are live this morning. We are live this morning. I have 3 internet sources. Sometimes there are certain things that are beyond your control, but we are live this morning, and we hope that the internet source would allow us to have a smooth journey and a smooth ride. So I want to thank you once again. Amaka, hi, thank you. My lovely wife, thank you. We're waiting for others. So we'll be getting started, you understand? I hope your week has been good and your week has been great. This morning I'm going to give you the 6th principle in the journey to success. Bernard, thank you. And Godwin, thank you for joining me. So just tell your family, tell your friends that we are live. And today we'll be considering the journey towards our dreams, our goals, our desires. We started this series some weeks ago, so let me just do like a summary. Some weeks ago, we talked about that you can become your wildest dreams. That some of the things that we consider as our wildest dreams are some people's reality. And if your dream is somebody else's reality, it means that that dream is achievable and possible. Understand your dream to earn $10,000 a month, to earn $20,000 a month, to even earn $5,000 extra a month. Some people are earning it. Look at Lionel Messi and the Barcelona case. You understand, £500,000 a week. So your wildest dreams are possible. You want to lose weight. There are other people that have your ideal body weight. You understand? So your wildest dreams are possible. And we now said there are 7 belief systems that you need to have in order to accomplish that goal. The first is that we said that life is fair, and that was one of the most controversial episode, because sometimes a lot of people believe that life is not fair. And I said, relative to who, that usually the people who say life is not fair are the people that are struggling with life. I'm yet to see a successful rich person saying that life is not fair. Tell an Olympic champion today that life is not fair, that he won the Olympic gold, and the person will look at you and say, you are kidding me. We need to come to the realization that God has no favorites. You understand? God doesn't play favoritism. He's not a partial God. He's the God of justice. You understand? He's the God of justice. That's God is a God of justice. And so we come to that realization that life is fair. If life is fair, it means that whatever we get is a function of our input. We looked at Newton's law of motion that says action and reaction are equal and opposite. We looked at the concept of seed time harvest. Some people will call it the law of boomerang, the law of karma, and all that. That's law number 1. Law number 2 now says if life is fair, then it means that we are responsible for our successes and failure. So we talked about the concept of taking responsibility for your success. You cannot leave it in the hands of somebody else, the economy, your father, your spouse. That's law number 2. Law or belief number 2. Belief number 3 is coming to that point where you say, I deserve better. You understand? When you look at your result and say, hey guys, I deserve better. And that's where all change starts from, when you know that you actually deserve better and you're worth far more and you're willing to pay the price to become what you're supposed to be. Belief number 4 is the concept of purpose. I was born for this. That when a man finds when I say a man, I mean both male, both female. When you find what you were born for, you find your genius and your creativity. And belief number 5 that we covered last week is that I can be the best in the world. Mediocrity is not celebrated. You can survive with mediocrity, but you cannot achieve significance with mediocrity. You need to find that area where you can actually be the best in the world. That's what the Olympic tells us. It celebrates the best from wherever. You understand? In Nigeria, at least we won 2 medals, one in wrestling and one in the long jump. And the question I asked myself, why would 2 Nigerians win a medal and the others will not win? So the 2 Nigerians at least are in the top 3 in the world in that field, why some other Nigerians that went there just went there and faded into obscurity. And that's what life is, you understand? You need to find that place where in this particular area I can be the very best. If you take the Olympic sports, you hardly see somebody doing 100, 200 and 400 meters. Usually they do 100 and 200 meters, or they do 200 and 400 meters. I'm yet to see an athlete that has done 100, 200 and 400 meters. So you find the law of concentration. Find that area where you can be the very best. That's where you can find your competitive advantage, because in that area where you can be the very best, you have a competitive advantage. If you play in the area where you are just average, you will fizzle out into obscurity and the world will not remember you. That is what we covered last week. And if you missed any of the episode, you can go back on and watch the episode. I hope the internet source is okay so far. So today, I want to talk to you about the journey of success. So you've set your goals. You are so excited. And I'll tell you that it goes, and I wrote it in my book, The Alphabet of Leadership. And I said that it goes through like 6 stages. The first is that stage of conception. The first, okay, this is what I want to accomplish. That's conception. You want to accomplish this goal and you're so excited about it. You understand, you dream big. So that stage happens on the inside. Then the second stage is the stage what I call announcement. And in announcement, you share it with your wife. So I've shared certain goals with my wife. Some of us, we share with our wife, we share with our friends. We make the announcement to our world. And sometimes some people take that announcement and take it external and they announce it to their world. Then the third stage after announcement is the stage I call bemusement and ridicule. You know, because of the size of your dream and because your dream is a break from the status quo, and because some people cannot see how that dream will come to pass, you don't have the resources. Remember, dreams are usually in the future, but what people can think about when they think about you is your past and your present. And because some people cannot see how you can enter into that future, stage 3 happens. They laugh at you, they ridicule you, you understand, they despise it, they hiss at the dream. In fact, some of them will tell you and say you must be crazy. Some other people will tell you, please give up on that particular dream. That's stage number 3. And stage number 3 here is that you're expecting support from the people that are closest to you, and the people that are closest to you are telling you that you must be crazy. What do you do when people ridicule your dream? We'll talk about that in this episode. And stage number 4 is if you hold on and don't give up your dreams because of the ridicule from your world, you understand, and especially from the people that are closest to you, because you just simply announced the dream. And I'll tell you stories of 2 people. Let's take David. When David said, well, who will, you understand, what will be given to the man that will kill Goliath? Guess the people who ridiculed him. Guess the people who wrote him off. First and foremost were his family members who thought that you must be crazy. Who did you leave that few sheep with? You're coming here. This is the battle for men, not for boys. Your place is in the wilderness. And that's what happens. Some of the people that are closest to us might not see that dream coming to pass in our life. Same thing happened to Joseph when he said, I saw the moon and the sun and the 11 stars bowing before me. Who were the people that ridiculed him? His own family, his brothers felt, you must be crazy. They started calling him, here comes the dreamer. So that's the stage number 3, which is the stage of ridicule, bemusement. Stage number 4 is that if you hold on, you will get support from surprising sources. So that's stage number 4, where you have attraction and support, where some other people that are tired of the status quo and they see somebody who is trying to do something novel, something new, something that will create the kind of future that they want, and you start attracting the kind of support that you need. That's stage number 4, attraction and support. Then stage number 5, just as you thought, oh my God, we are making progress, will come challenges and obstacles. I call challenges the visitors we entertain on the road to success. Every time we're going somewhere great, we'll definitely entertain visitors. We call them potholes, we call them dishes, we call them speed bumps, whatever you want to call them, but definitely you would encounter them on the road to success. So in stage number 4, in stage number 5, you have challenges, you have difficulties, you have obstacles, and if you don't give up in that stage, then you get to the final stage. And that final stage is the stage of delivery, is the stage of advertisement, is the stage where your dreams have come to pass. That's the last stage. And it happens. If you even take a woman that is going, that conception, conceived, announces to the family, the husband, and people are happy, you understand, and before you know it, she enters the pregnancy, early pregnancy symptoms, and she overcomes that stage. There's support and people are supporting her. Then guess what, she will enter into labor with the pain and the contraction and the rest before delivery happens. This is the stage that every successful person goes through. The problem with a lot of us is that when we see people at the top, we think that the journey was easy, and we want to have a sweatless journey to success. We think that it was an easy journey for them to have gotten there. So we desire the end product, but we don't want to go through the process. When we find ourselves in the process, the question we ask ourselves, God, why me? I didn't bargain for this. Every successful person, in whatever field, in whatever dimension, has gone through this. Take Elon Musk, for example. Take Jeff Bezos, for example. When Jeff Bezos resigned from his job as a quantitative analyst in an investment bank to start Amazon, people would have thought that he was crazy. You must be crazy to leave a job that pays you in thousands of dollars to start a business that we don't know what the future looks like. And for so many years, I think the first 10 years of his business, Amazon declared losses. And the people would have said, give up on this dream, give up on this goal. Today, he's the world's richest man. We see the end result, but we don't understand the process. And that is what I want to deal with this morning. That in the journey to success, we will face obstacles. In the journey to success, we'll face people who would ridicule us, people who would laugh at us. So I want to talk about 3 things this morning. First, dealing with ridicules, you understand. Second, dealing with obstacles. And third, dealing with personal mistakes. Those 3 things would happen. I want to ask anybody, so far so good? You understand? Ridicule, you understand? Ridicule, obstacles and challenges, and personal mistakes are the 3 things I would like to cover this morning. So far so good. I just want to find out, are you people still with me? Can you hear me? You understand? I hope the network so far so good, you understand, has been great. So far, so good. Is there anybody in the house? I need to know that. I know I can see some people with me online. Thank you. So those are the 3 things. 3 things I'd like to cover this morning. Ridicule, number 1. When people laugh at us. When people ridicule us. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Uzo. Thank you. You understand? I just want to be sure. So ridicule is number 1. Challenges and obstacles are number 2. And number 3 is you call personal mistakes. So let's talk about ridicule. I wrote it in my book here that there are 2 kinds of people. Thank you. There are 2 kinds of people that would ridicule us. And the 2 are in 2 broad categories. The first is people I call small minds, and the second are people I call failures. Small minds and failures. Just like a caveat, I would say be careful with the people you share your dreams. It's not everybody that you need to share your dreams with. You understand? Some people do not have that right to know the things that are important to you. You need to first qualify people before you share your dreams. So I think that was the mistake that Joseph made. You need to qualify people. The fact that they are your brothers doesn't necessarily mean that they should have insight into everything, except they share certain similarities with you. They believe in the future that you do. So let's talk about small minds. Well, who are small minds? Small minds are people whose minds cannot see the future that you hold. Small minds. Those are small minds. And there's a quote by Paul Harvey that is so amazing here, and I want to read that quote. He said, a blind man's world is bounded by the limits of his touch. So a blind man's world, they use that sense of touch, you understand. They use the sense of touch in order to move. So it's bounded by the limits of his touch. An ignorant man's world by the limits of his knowledge, and a great man's world by the limits of his vision. So the small minds will be the people in the ignorant part, where by the limit of their knowledge, they cannot see somebody earning $5,000 every month. So you cannot see somebody earning $20,000 every month. You understand? I was speaking to a friend of mine. You understand? We just got talking, and he said to himself, he said that there was a time he had an opportunity to examine somebody's books as an auditor, and he found out that that guy was earning $50,000 every day. $50,000 every day. And he screamed and he said to himself, wow, if somebody can earn $50,000 and look at me, I'm here examining the books, why can't I be on the other side so that some other people will come and examine my books? And he said his goal was to earn $5,000 every day. Notice what has happened. By that experience, his scope of vision has been expanded. Somebody is actually earning $50,000 every day in this economy, guys. And that's the limit. Your experience sometimes determines the kind of vision you can have. So some people in their mind can never see themselves earning $1 million in a year because they've not seen somebody else earning that kind of money. So those are small minds, people whose mind are bounded by the limits of their ignorance and their knowledge. That's point number one. Small minds. So what do you do to small minds? You don't do things you do to small minds. You don't listen to them. You understand? You just ignore them and move on. They are ignorant, so just move on, because they have no right to determine the size and the scope of your vision. The second group of people that will ridicule you are failures. Who are failures? Failures are people who have tried what you're trying to do before and they have failed. And because they have failed, they are projecting their failures to you. I wrote in my book that people who laugh at us reveal a deeper truth. They are usually failures themselves. Why? Successful people usually encourage others to dream bigger and provide the guidance and support others need to achieve their dreams. But when somebody has tried to do the kind of business that you're doing and is failed, the person becomes cynical in life. That's the first thing. Cynicism is simply people who have tried what you're doing and they have failed. And so they are projecting their failures and their fears onto you. So when they say it is impossible, they're saying it is impossible not to you, to them. But you, if you don't understand that, you think they're actually speaking to you. They're actually projecting their fears. They're projecting their weaknesses onto you. Imagine, take people who have broken world records. I watch the Olympics and I get excited with people who have broken world records, like the lady from, I think, Venezuela, Rogers, that did that in the long jump. The lady that did that, the American lady that did that in the 400 meters hurdles. There are people that have broken world record. In fact, one of the ones that was so exciting was the 21-year-old Swedish pole vaulter who won the gold and wanted to go for a world record, and he almost got it. Now imagine I go to that lady, I tell that lady that my goal is to break a world record in something. What would the lady say? It's impossible? Of course she would not. She would tell you, yes, you can. I did break a world record in my time, and so you can do that. Just work hard and get it. If you go to those kind of people who have won golds in the Olympic, if I go to Usain Bolt and say my goal is to do double or gold or triple double, I think this is the first person that have done triple double, to win the 100 and 200 meters in 3 Olympic games. In fact, he actually did triple. You understand? He won the 100, 200 and the 4x100 in 3 Olympic games, but one of them was withdrawn because much years later they found out that somebody in the team tested positive. So instead of 9 gold medals, he has 8 gold medals. But so if I go to Usain Bolt and say, Usain Bolt, my goal is to win the Olympic gold, would Usain Bolt say no? Or the Jamaican lady, you understand, that won the 100 and the 200, she won't say no. She won't discourage you, because successful people, there's something about successful people. When they see people dreaming big, they want to encourage them. They want to say it is possible. They want to give them all the support and the push that they need in order to succeed. But if you go to somebody who went to the Olympics and did not even qualify, did not even make it through the first round, and says, I'm going to be a world champion, not only would I be a world champion, I'm going to break a world record, the first thing the person will tell you that it is not possible, because the person is using his or her experience to judge us. And so I say to people that it would be foolish and stupid to use somebody's experience to determine the size and the scope of your dreams. Why would somebody's own limitation, why would somebody's own experience, mistakes, why would somebody's own failures determine how I succeed in life or determine my success in life? So that's the first point in dealing with ridicule, is that understand that they are small minds. You understand their small minds and understand their failures. Ted Turner, the man who started saying and says, all my life, people have said I wasn't going to make it all my life. E.H. Hansen says that the man who wins may have been counted out so many times, but he did not hear the referee. You understand that the referee of cynicism, that the referee of failures, that the referee of small minds telling you, you cannot drive a G-Wagon, a Range Rover, a Rolls Royce, you cannot build houses, you cannot make it, you cannot be a global phenomenon. And look at those people, they are not worthy to be in your world or to speak and give you direction. Have I made sense so far? That's point number one. Point number one is dealing with ridicule. You understand? That's point number one. So people who ridicule us reveal two things about themselves. They are small minds. You understand? They are small minds and they are failures. So the brothers of David ridiculed him because they fall in both categories. Small mind cannot see it. Failures have not been able to kill Goliath. You understand? Small mind and failures. And if David had stopped because of their rejection, what would have happened to them? This book, Jack Canfield, you understand? Jack Canfield wrote a book called, this is how one of his other books, but this author wrote a book called Chicken Soup for the Soul. And he even got a publicist. He got an agent to help him market the book. The first 30 publishers said no. Imagine if he had said, because 30 publishers said no, they said stories don't sell, even the title Chicken Soup for the Soul, nobody will buy the book. Chicken soup, what do you mean by chicken soup for the soul? At the end of the day, he eventually got 130 rejections. I need you to think about that. 130 people said no to his book. 130, no, till 130 times. Had they given up on the 130th or 129th person, or even the 130th person, the 131 who took a chance on him, and that book had become a multi-million bestseller. Over 8 million copies have been sold. Over 500 million copies from other books from the Chicken Soup series have been sold. He has become a global phenomenon, earns millions of dollars from royalties every year. That's how his future would have been written off, because he accepted the rejection of the society. And there are other people who have faced rejection and did not give up. So that's point number one, dealing with rejection. Point number two here is dealing with temporary setbacks. You will meet obstacles. You understand? You will meet temporary setbacks, the cash flow challenges, congregational challenges. You meet them in different ways. You understand? You expect to be promoted and you were not promoted. You will meet them in different ways. I wrote in my book that, we need to separate lessons and life sentences. A lesson is, okay, so what can I learn from this? So I don't call it a setback. You understand? I call it feedback. You understand? That's for me. So in that book, I said that mental shift from setback to feedback. And a setback is, okay, life has taken me back. Feedback is that life is telling me that if I need to succeed, I need to do things differently. And so what do we do? The biggest lesson here is that failure is an opportunity to start afresh. It's how we see it. When we face challenges, just reinterpreting failure is the biggest lesson we need to learn. And the best person who did that, even though I wrote about it, is from this book, Success is Never Ending and Failure is Never Final. Amazing book. It takes an elephant god to still push on. I like that. After such rejections, I agree. It takes an elephant god to still keep going. 130 rejections. Some of us would have abandoned the dream. I could give you examples of people, so many other people that the world wrote off. Fred could not sing. Fred could not act. Sidney Potter was told he could not act. He had no acting gift, but had he given up? You understand? We could give you examples and examples and examples. But let's talk about setback. Rejection is mental. Setback, you understand, the business that you've launched out in faith, you understand, expecting and hoping, you didn't get the things that you wanted. What would you do? Would you give up? Now in point number two, I like what this man wrote here. It's just so amazing. The way he put failure, reinterpreting failure, I don't think any other person has written it this way. He says, failure doesn't mean you were dumb to try. Because sometimes when we fail, we start internalizing the message of failure, that it means that we're foolish. Why did we even start in the first place? It means you had the courage and to explore and experiment to see what would work and what would not. Amazing. Failure doesn't mean you don't know how to make decisions. It just means you have to make another decision. You understand? You can overcome the fear of failure when you redefine the word. I like this. It says failure doesn't mean you're a failure. It does mean you haven't succeeded yet. Failure doesn't mean you've accomplished nothing. It does mean you have learned something. It says failure doesn't mean you've been a fool. It does mean you have a lot of faith. Amazing. You understand? You had a lot of faith. Failure doesn't mean you have been disgraced. Sometimes you feel, oh my God, I have been disgraced. It does mean you were willing to try. Failure doesn't mean you don't have it. It does mean you have to do something in a different way. Failure doesn't mean you are inferior. Amazing. It does mean you are not perfect. Failure doesn't mean you've wasted your life. Sometimes you feel, I've done this, I'm not getting the result, I've wasted my life. He said it does mean you have a reason to start afresh. Failure doesn't mean you should give up. It does mean you should try harder. Failure doesn't mean you would never make it. It does mean, you understand, it will take a little longer. And for those of us that are spiritual, he said failure doesn't mean God has abandoned you. It does mean God has a better idea. You understand? It's simply amazing. Every time I think about failure, and are we going to fail? Of course. Would we get to that point in our lives where it looks as if we are not making progress? It doesn't mean you will not kill Goliath. So David, when he met Saul says, you cannot kill Goliath. He recounted the story, and Saul simply moved and says, okay, I'll give you the opportunity. Great. And David takes Saul's armor. And as David tried to go with Saul's armor, he noticed that I am not making progress with this. So what did David do? He removed the armor and he looked for stones. So if you call it, he failed in Saul's armor, but he was willing to start afresh, and he looked for stones and says, I can go with this. And that was what he used to kill Goliath. So what failure says is that you don't change your goal, you change your strategy. That's what failure is telling you. You don't change your goal. The goal of becoming a multi-millionaire, the goal of losing weight. I said the last time I watched the program called The Biggest Loser, where people who are obese, they'll take them through exercises and they will lose some weight, and every week they will measure the weight that you lose in proportion to your teammate. So because if you are 300 pounds and you lose 5%, you understand, it's different from somebody that's 200 pounds and loses 5%, you understand? But that 5% is like a benchmark for somebody that is 300 pounds. And there's this lady that after 1 week of exercising and the rest, she only lost 1 pound and she was evicted from the show. But you see, it doesn't mean she's a failure. It just means she needs to try harder and change the strategy. It will take longer, but she needs to just keep at it. And that's the lesson that we need to learn. That failure doesn't mean that we will not succeed. It might take a little longer. For me, the best example, I'm almost at 5 minutes, but I'll still talk about the third one, dealing with personal mistakes. The best example of failure, bouncing back, rejection, obstacles comes from my medical background. In medicine, we were told that every time a woman enters her menstrual cycle, that menstruation is the wailing of a disappointed womb. You need to get this. Menstruation is the wailing of a disappointed womb. That when the cycle starts, you understand, the womb is being prepared for conception. Every time the cycle starts, by the time the woman is ovulating, is the expectation of release. When you ovulate, you're expecting, you understand, there will be conception. So the womb is preparing for conception. And when there is no conception, you understand, that disappointment, the womb sheds blood, that disappointment. So it's the wailing of a disappointed womb. Imagine if the cycle that brought you gave up a month before you were conceived. And so if this woman started conception at age 12, you understand, and goes 12 times, you understand, by the time she's 22, should have gone like 120 times. By the time she's 32, should have gone like 240 times. Imagine if she stopped at 200 times before you were brought forth. You and I will not be here today. The reason why we are here today, you understand, listening to this episode this morning, is because the cycle that brought you did not give up in the face of the rejections and the disappointments and the wailing. You understand that cycle went through maybe 100 times, maybe 120 times, maybe 150 times, maybe 200 times. That cycle did not give up. And because that cycle did not give up, that is why you are here today. So I'm speaking to somebody who, you understand, you are willed, you've lost some things, you understand. Remember the cycle that brought you. You are here today because the cycle that gave back to you did not give up in the face of disappointment and discouragement and difficulty. You plan the program, you're expecting the word to come, and maybe only 5 people showed up. Would you give up? You would wail, of course, but remember that cycle, the wailing of a disappointed one. What does the cycle do? The cycle starts afresh again, and someday, the conception happens and delivery takes place and the word comes back. There's always a future opportunity that will come your way if you don't give up. So let me go to the last part. So I've talked about dealing with ridicule. I've talked about dealing with challenges and difficulties. The last part today is dealing with personal mistakes. You see, some of the first two has to do with external. You understand? First two, external, internal. Personal mistakes, there's so many. We make mistakes. You understand? We invested in A and A was a mistake. In fact, you put your money in a hole. You were supposed to buy B, you bought A, and you made losses. Personal mistakes. So many people have made so many personal mistakes. Maybe you said yes to the wrong guy, or you didn't say yes to the wrong. So many. You can put it in different ways. You got so angry and you resigned from a job, and as a result of that, it backfired. There's so many personal mistakes. You visited a friend, and God forbid, and the person raped you, and you asked yourself, if I had known, I shouldn't have visited that friend. So many personal mistakes. They're in different ways. You understand? You left your company. You left a paid job to start your own company, and your company is struggling. It's a personal mistake. You see, there are just 3 things I want to say here about personal mistake. The biggest problem of mistakes and even rejections and the rest is not the external fact. The biggest problem is the internalization of the external fact. And what I've found that is when we make personal mistakes, we can deal a bit with rejection better than even personal mistake. We come so hard. Why am I so stupid? Why did I make this mistake? What happened to me? We begin to internalize the personal mistake, and guess what we do? We injure ourselves emotionally by personal mistake. There are 3 things I want to say to you here, guys. If you've made personal mistake, I have made personal mistakes. I've made personal, not one, not twice. You understand? Even as a pastor, sometimes you move the church from a place to the other. You felt that this was a mistake. Take responsibility for that. The first thing I want to say to you here, you need to make peace with your past. You need to make peace with your past. And in making peace with your past, there are 2 sub-principles there. You understand? Make peace with your past. The first sub-principle there is that you need to accept the reality that the mistake has been made. There's nothing I can do. You understand? I've lost the opportunity. It's okay. The mistake, can I rewrite it? Make peace with your past. And the second thing here is that you need to learn to forgive yourself. And that those 2 things, it helps you to make peace with your past. First principle here is make peace with your past. Look at the past again. Look at that situation again and says, I chose this and I accept the reality of this choice. You understand? And Maxwell, I forgive you for this mistake. That's point number 1. Make peace with your past. Point number 2 is that you need to trust God for the future. You know, sometimes why people enter into depression is because they elevate the past at the expense of the future. So you lost $100,000, you lost $500,000, you lost $1 million. You understand? Yes, it's painful. Anybody losing that kind of money in this economy it's painful. I understand that. But guess what? Doesn't mean that you cannot earn $1 million or $10 million in your future. When you elevate your past over your future, depression is the end result. So make peace with your past is about closing the chapter of the past. Accept the reality. I've made that losses. You understand? I've said the reality was what I did that led the marriage to a divorce or whatever it is. Accept the reality. I shouldn't have left my organization. I accept that reality. I make peace with my past and I forgive myself. You know, sometimes we forgive others. We need to learn to forgive ourselves. Forgive yourself for that mistake. Forgive yourself for the decisions, you understand, that did not go the way it went. It has happened. But now look at the future and think about the future and ask yourself, does it mean that, actually, you've lost $1 million, you've lost $5 million, you've lost $100 million, does it mean you cannot make $1 million, $5 million? Now you need to begin to celebrate, you understand. Trust God for a future. Trust God for another opportunity. Like Samson, trust God that your hair will grow again. You understand? That's the second part. Your hair might have been shaven, you are in the dungeon, but trust God for opportunities. And that's pointer number 2. In pointer number 2, you need to, I'm sure that Joseph would have gotten to that point in his life where he said, if I had known, maybe I wouldn't have shared my dreams with my younger people, my brothers and the rest. If I had known, there's been so many, what did I do? How did I find myself? But hey, I believe that you need to trust God. And you know that God works all things out for our good. You understand? He's the God of his second and a third chances. And the God that restores to us the years that the cankerworm and caterpillars have eaten. You need to trust God for a better future, a better opportunity, you understand, a better relationship. That's pointer number 2. Trust God for a future. Understand that even though you've lost money, there's still opportunities. Next year, there will be millionaires made next year. There will be opportunities even before the end of this year. Trust God to rewrite the story for you. That's pointer number 2. And point number 3 is that you need to learn to enjoy the present and think of new opportunities. Enjoy the present, guys. Look at yourself and say, yes, I've made mistakes in the past, you understand, but I know the future is opening for me, and I choose to enjoy the present and I seek new opportunities. So in enjoying the present, you seek new opportunities. Those are the 3 things I want to leave with you for people who have made personal mistakes. You understand? Number 1 is make peace with your past. Number 2 is trust God for the future. And number 3 is enjoy the present. Joseph was in the prison. Did he enjoy it? Yes, he was giving his best. In Potiphar's house, he gave his best. I've made peace with my past. There's nothing I can do. I've been taken from my father's house. You understand? I trust God for the future, but in the present, I need to enjoy the role where I find myself, and I need to give my best in life. And this is where I see a lot of missing link. A lot of people either live in the past or in the present, in the future, but not in the present. So they live in the past. That's depression. They live in the future, which is dreaming about the future. They dream about big goals, but they don't work in the present. In point number 3, enjoy the present and maximize it. Next week, I'll bring this journey to a close, and I'll look at the last foundational belief that you need to achieve success. I hope today's episode has been useful to you. I hope you've learned something in today's episode about the journey to success. That is not a smooth line. It's not a straight line. It has its own contours and detours. You understand? People will ridicule you. There will be challenges. You understand? Look at Joseph. The family ridiculed him. Potiphar's wife betrayed him and put him in prison. There will be ridicule. There will be challenges. It's that journey. But if you don't give up, if you learn this principle, how to deal with ridicule, how to face challenges, you understand, and how to deal with personal mistakes. Thank you. So do me a favor, you understand? Please, immediately after this, I'll put the video on the page. Just do me a favor, share the video with your friends, and let's meet next week Saturday as we bring this journey. It's the final principle or the final foundational belief, and it's the icing on the cake. I want to thank you once again. My name is Dr. Max Oliver. This is Maximizing Your Impact with Dr. Max Oliver.